Hello everyone, welcome back to Horror Mystery Rewind. Today we will talk about the horror thriller movie Old, which was released in 2022. Leave a comment if any changes needed in the explanation. Spoilers ahead, enjoy and take care of yourself. The Kappa family is invited to a resort in the beginning of the film for a vacation. Even though Guy and Priska, the children's parents, have never heard of the destination before, they are thrilled. When they arrive, the manager himself and the entire crew welcome them. Then a woman shows up and offers them complimentary drinks. She eventually takes Trent and Mad Dogs outdoors, where a few other individuals are relaxing. The children encounter Idlib, the manager's nephew, at the candy counter. Trent makes a quick buddy out of him, and the two of them begin looking around. Mad Dogs and her parents, meanwhile, get into their bathing costumes and enjoy some time at the beach. First impressions suggest that the family is about to have a blast. But they have no idea that they are about to go on a terrifying journey. Over breakfast the following morning, we got to know the other families. A well-known surgeon named Charles has traveled with his mother Agnes, wife Crystal, and their 6-year-old daughter Cara. Then there is Zareen and Patricia Carmichael, the Carmichael pair. The latter has epilepsy, which frequently results in seizures in her. She has a severe seizure even now while eating breakfast, but fortunately, the surgeon, Charles, helps her get up. The Kappa family is approached by the resort manager, who informs them that a stunning beach is only 5 kilometers away. He adds that he has already made arrangements for a vehicle and other necessities for their journey. Guy and Priska don't understand why they are being treated like king and queen. They ultimately accept the invitation to the beach. The family then quickly boards the bus and prepares for their journey. Unfortunately, Chris and his family decide to go along as well, making the trip less exclusive. After some time, they pass a gate marked clearly off limits. The guests are all too preoccupied with their own pursuits to notice it. The driver leaves them off and directs them to the beach once they reach the end of the road. He makes no effort to accompany them or carry their luggage. He states before departing that he will pick them up at 5 p.m. In the following scene, the group enters a small tunnel after continuing their journey through the woods. They eventually make it to the beach from there. Just like the resort management had mentioned, the location is breathtaking. Without waiting, the families immediately begin unpacking their belongings until they notice a lonesome-looking man sitting nearby. He is revealed to be a well-known rapper by the name of Mid-Sized Sidon. He is immediately recognized by Mad Dogs, who attempts to collect his autograph but is told to leave him alone by her father. After some time, the three children start to play and discover many things buried in the sand. Some of them are other items that one would typically bring to the beach, but the majority of them are toys. Yeah, things just grow stranger. There are no fish on the beach, not even little one. Trent, a curious youngster, goes swimming by himself in the meantime. He enjoys splashing against the gentle waves until a body on the surface drifts toward him. He cries out in terror for assistance, and the parents rush to save him. The dead body is carried to the shore, and Charles, the surgeon, presumes that she had just recently drowned. When they got to the shore, he claims that the mid-sized Sidon killed her because no one else was around the beach. When Sidon is seen bleeding from the nose, indicating that he had a fight with the woman, the charge is made even more believable. The latter tries to convince everyone that he had nothing to do with the tragedy. However, nobody accepts his explanation. Trent, the young boy, is constantly screaming that his bathing suit is getting tighter. Agnes, Charles' mother, also mentions experiencing breathing problems. Charles tries to contact for assistance when he realizes something horrible is happening, but there is no service nearby. The Carmichaels, the earlier couple, arrive there just then. On the direction of the resort manager, the driver has also dropped them off. The horrified group informs them of the situation right away, and as a result, Zareen, the husband, decides to stop the vehicle from leaving. But as soon as he enters the cavern, he collapses and loses consciousness. A short while later, he awakens on the beach with a severe headache. All of them are perplexed by what just occurred, but before they can look into it, they discover that Agnes has stopped breathing. Charles does his hardest to revive his mother as the group rushes to her side. Unfortunately, nothing he does is successful. To divert the Kappa children, the Carmichaels are engaging with them during this time. Trent answers 6 when Zareen inquires about the boy's age. He appears much older, which makes the Carmichaels find it difficult to believe. As soon as Priska comes on the scene, she is astounded to see her kids. They have miraculously aged by a few years, rendering them unrecognizable. Charles pursues Sidon as he flees once he sees the chaos erupting around him. But as soon as they get to the caravan, they pass out. They then come to the beach. Concerned after seeing everything, Priska says they should leave the area in a different route. Unfortunately, each time one of them approaches the deep canyon, they pass out and come to the shore. This indicates that they are permanently trapped, with 2 dead bodies nearby. The children are aging so quickly that it will be challenging to obtain new clothing for them, which only makes things worse. The parents begin thinking of plans for what to do next as panic sets in. The Kappas speculate that a virus is to blame for all the irregularities as Charles, who has recently developed paranoia, stabs Sidon in the face. Surprisingly, the wound heals quickly, almost as if it never had happened. After some time, Maddox drags Sidon away and queries him regarding the location's reality. The latter claims that he is pretty clueless as they are. As the two become at ease with one another, Sidon discloses that he has an uncommon disease that prevents his blood from clotting. The grown-ups also learn that the girl they discovered dead on the beach had sclerosis in the meantime. Just then, Priska seems to become dizzy and quickly collapses to the ground. It turns out that she has a tumor, which is the primary cause of the breakdown of her marriage to Guy. It was a little tumor when they first got to the beach, but it has now grown to the size of a tennis ball. Charles chooses to use the knife he possesses to do a surgery because time is running out. However, as it did with Sidon, as soon as he makes an incision, it immediately mends. Charles begins to converse with himself, which only makes things worse. He had shown signs of schizophrenia before getting to this beach, but now the illness is taking control of him. Fortunately, the other members of the group assist him in waking up so he may get on with the procedure. Charles makes a second cut close to Priska's abdomen after that, and this time, everyone holds the wound to prevent it from healing. After Charles removes the enormous tumor, they immediately let it go. And as soon as the wound is healed, Priska awakens. She is now healthy again. They quickly notice that the earlier dead woman has now decomposed into dust and bones, so their joy does not continue for very long. Even though her body was removed just a few hours earlier, it has already fully decayed. The bones are examined by Priska, a museum curator, who notes that it takes at least 7 years for something of this nature to decay. The party notices at this point that time is passing more quickly on the beach. According to Priska's exact calculations, a half hour spent here is comparable to a complete year of human life. Trent and Kara, the children, are seen elsewhere snacking on the leftover food. Everyone is startled to see them all grown up when they return. Kara is also quite pregnant with her first child. Charles and the others lay her down and get ready to deliver the baby after realizing that she might give birth at any moment. Crystal, who also wants to be near her daughter, faints from anxiety. When she awakens, she discovers that Kara has just delivered a baby, but that it has now eventually died. Time moved so fast for the baby that it didn't even get a chance to consume food and build its muscles. Trent is puzzled as he considers everything since, although being an adult, he still behaves like a 6-year-old. Charles, on the other hand, has become extremely annoyed. In one situation, he begs Zareen to go. In another, he advises his wife to put on cosmetics because she looks awful. Charles finally goes too far as he grabs Sidon and stabs him repeatedly with a knife. The rapper's illness prevents blood from clotting, so he doesn't even have a chance to heal. Devastated, Zareen believes it is preferable to risk his life than to slowly perish here, and resolves to cross the waters and call for help. Guy cautiously removes the knife from Charles after he leaves since Charles has become completely paranoid at this time. He had a realization when he sees this. Every family who arrived at the beach shared a characteristic. One of their members had a disease at the very least. For instance, Sidon had a rare blood disorder, Charles had schizophrenia, Priska had a tumor, and the deceased woman had multiple sclerosis. Guy then queries his wife regarding the source of the invitation card. Priska admits that she won it in a chance competition that she entered on the pharmacy receipts back. From this, it can be concluded that the resort's owner was already aware of their past medical history. When Mad Dogs goes swimming in the following scene, she stumbles upon a dead body. It is made clear that it belongs to Zareen. Like the other incident with the woman, he must have passed out while submerged and perished. When Patricia sees him, she sobs in misery, and the other people are even more horrified because they have nowhere to go. Kara, though, is not willing to give up that simply. She makes the decision to climb the canyon, and she nearly succeeds. She unfortunately passes out and falls to her death just as she reaches the summit. Patricia begins to severely shiver a few seconds later, and she too dies. 2 additional bodies are added to the collection in this manner. As the day quickly gives way to darkness, the Kappa pair gradually begins to become confused. They are struggling to remember why they are attempting to leave this gorgeous location at this point. On the other hand, a book that reportedly belonged to those who came before them has been discovered by their kids. It has a list of everyone's names, addresses, and medical conditions. A light that suddenly emerges from a hilltop diverts Trent's focus. He realizes it is a camera after giving it a closer look. This indicates that they are being carefully examined. In the meantime, Charles, who has turned into a ticking time bomb, moves cautiously toward Guy to kill him. The latter is unable to notice it because he is almost completely blind. Charles soon rushes at him and begins stabbing him in the body. Although Priska is right there, she cannot hear it since she has lost her hearing. But when she finally realizes what's happening, she seizes a rusty knife and stabs Charles. She is only able to create a tiny cut on one of his arms, but the rust rapidly seeps into his bloodstream and kills him. The siblings encounter an elderly Crystal as they cautiously make their way inside the cave. She tries to kill the kids with rocks because she doesn't want anyone to see her disgusting face. Her bones crack as she tries to pick up a large one. She is deformed as it instantly begins to recover in the wrong direction. Shortly later, Crystal suffers a horrible death. When everything quiets down, the Kappa family is the only ones left standing. Guy expresses his affection for his family with emotion as they reunite once closer to the ocean. He says this before passing away. Soon after, Priska also passes away from old age. The kids are upset because they are powerless without their parents. They awaken in their late 40s the following morning. Trent and Mad Dogs choose to spend the rest of their time playing because they are aware that they will one day become just like their parents. When they begin building sandcastles, Trent recalls that the nephew of the resort manager, Idlib, had given him a problem to complete. Trent pulls out the puzzle because they have plenty of time, and he eventually solves it. "My uncle doesn't like coral," it says. The siblings realize that the corals have all of the solutions to their problems after receiving this message. They immediately jump into the water and swim toward the corals as a result. Then, when they attempt to pass through an underwater passage, Mad Dogs's dress becomes snagged on a piece of coral. The camera then shifts to a man standing in the hills overlooking the shore. He is the same driver that delivered the families there. He calls his supervisor and informs him of the situation after making sure everyone is dead. He then gathers his possessions and departs. Then, we are led to a lab where a number of highly skilled people are studying various medications. Additionally, the resort manager informs everyone that Trial 73 has concluded. He also points out that because of this seashore, they have been able to use their medicines to save millions of lives. Here, we understand that the resort is a front for a pharmaceutical corporation. They use the beach to carry out clinical experiments on ill individuals so that they can obtain the findings quickly rather than having to wait years. The welcome drinks they offer their visitors are actually a mix of test medication for their specific illnesses. The Kappa siblings, who have miraculously survived the terrible waves, are visible elsewhere. With the notepad they discovered on the beach, they are now back at the hotel. They quickly locate a policeman who is also on vacation and inform him of what happened. The siblings even give him the notebook containing the list of all the missing persons in an effort to help him understand. After making some calls, the officer determines that the individuals are truly missing. The medical lab is caught in the final scene, and all of the scientists are arrested. The Kappa siblings are flown home in a helicopter while being escorted. If you like the video, subscribe for more videos like this, turn on notifications, and click on like to help the channel out. Thank you and take care.